happens to them in their life is somebody else's fault. And Leslie Jones, I don't know whether she was deployed on by the studio on purpose to kind of drum up some sympathy because the movie
obviously
bombing.
This is all staged.
I mean, it seems that way.
So like, make money off killing the First Amendment. Well, I say boycott their damn film.
It seems that way to me. And of course, you've got to bear in mind Sony and Amy Pascal at Sony. She was caught saying some slightly off-color things about Barack Obama in those emails that were leaked from Sony. Yeah. You remember? Oh, let's take him to go see Django or whatever it was, you know? And she was like, So this is Amy Pascal trying to get her social justice credentials back. This is a, you know, there are a lot of things going on here. And I just, from my point of view, I talk a lot about feminism in my college talks. I'm so shocked and saddened by what the left and what feminism and what political correctness has done to women. Women have been reporting themselves as getting progressively less happy every decade since the Second World War. It cannot be unrelated.
That's right. It's a bunch, let's just say it. And I'm not being mean about this. But it's a bunch of weird, twisted, ugly women.
It is.
That are jealous.
And mainly lesbians, by the way.
Exactly.
It is.
No, it is. And they want the women. And I get it. I want women too. They want to keep them on this reservation.
No, but it's like, of course these feminists hate men. They're all lesbians. If you look, I say this in my talks, and people get offended by this.
Competition.
No, exactly. If you look at the academic roster, you know, you look at the faculty list in a gender studies department.
They want to bring girls in, brainwash them.
Divorcee, Dyke. And we're letting these women lecture like other women on how to negotiate with men. It's like putting Hitler in charge of a museum of Jewish antiquity. Why are these angry, overweight, horrendous, like chip-on-shoulder conspiracy theory, you know, indulging lesbianic monsters telling women how to be women? That's insane.
Exactly. This is actually a group of vampiric pig goblins trying to destroy femininity.
I knew this was going to get competitive.
This is a satanic demon trying to sup on the essence of the goddess.
Well, I can't beat that one.
It's an attempted murder of the goddess. Damn you, Janet Reno.
No, you know what? People get offended by this, and all
I've known women, and I'm telling you, Hillary Clinton and Janet Reno aren't one.
Well,
they're not even men.
Well, you know what?
But you're a man. You know the average man just wanting to live their life and bumbling around. I mean, we're not like organizing this stuff. No, but men just want food, sex, and sleep, you know? We're very simple creatures. And when we want sex really badly, we have, you know, our testosterone kicks in and we do competitive things. You know, we build civilization, we go to the moon, we build the internet. You know, patriarchy ain't that fucking bad. You know, like, it's not that bad. Rules
you
know, white male privilege.
No, if there is a patriarchy, women should be thankful for it because, you know, they are the beneficiaries. It's women who take more out of the tax system while putting less in. It is women who benefit from male inventions.
No, I mean, it's true. I put the women up a little pink pillow.
Of course, but that's exactly how we should treat women. We should treat them with chivalry and respect. You know, we should honor and obey women. But the problem, you know, the problem is that feminists take advantage of that. They like to prey on a man's natural instinct for chivalry.
They've been bullying us.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you know, I don't throw that word around too lightly, but it is kind of true.
I mean,
it's kind of true. And these women prey on a man's natural chivalrous instinct. Like when they play the victim, they say, "Oh, I'm at home crying," and they know that male journalists are going to try to run to their defense. They're going to white knight them. You know, that is the worst kind of sociopathy and opportunism and ugly behavior. And all it does is drive the sexes apart. And you know, if you want a sort of compassionate point here, that hurts women most because men in their 30s can retreat into porn and video games and their buddies and sports and working out. They're generally okay.
You're right. No, statistics show men are retreating from women.
Right. And I wrote a piece about this, I think, 2 years ago called The Sexodus on Breitbart. And you've covered this a lot. And I know Paul Joseph Watson's covered this a lot. This is a real thing. Men are kind of retreating out of society, sort of giving up on dating women because it's just too much hassle.
It's like, you hate me, you're making stuff up, fine, I'm out.
Fine, I'm out. We know women, on the other hand, in their 30s, if they're still single, you know, getting to their late 30s, they're very, very unhappy. Men kind of deal with it better. It's just another way to
take the average feminist that's all whacked out and freaked out and deprogram them in like 2 weeks, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm alive. This is."
Well, you probably do this in real life. I do this with people in my college talks, right? There's women in the audience who come, they come to cause trouble, and then they queue up at the end for a photo and said, "My life has just been changed. I had no idea." And I'm like,
it is. It's a psychological warfare brainwashing template, taking real issues that were going on in the past, projecting them onto things now, just because a bunch of women who like women want their own stable of women, and instead they're actually putting them into their own brainwashing camp, and they're actually oppressing them. It's crazy.
The real victims here are these young, vulnerable, impressionable girls who arrive at university and they meet these body positivity supporting professors who say it's fine to be fat, it's fine, you know, healthy at any size. That's a lie. These people are lying to vulnerable, impressionable young girls of 17, 18, 19 years old.
Is their man. So their 400-pound man meets them. They take them into a brainwashing camp and freak them all out, get them all freaked out, and then tell them, we're going to free you. You know, little girls' camps. I've got 2 daughters. I've got to watch out what camp you send them to. Don't just say some sports or art camp. You get there, and it's literally men are out to get you. We're going to teach you your new identity.
Of course.
That's like, I don't tell my daughters that. They're going to learn that. You're not their parent. I mean, these people are telling my kids stuff I found out that I haven't told them yet.
Yeah. I
mean, that's crazy.
But this is a sort of social authoritarianism of the left. They want the state and they want these lobbies and charities and feminists to step into the role of parent. Because, of course, this is the ultimate, it's the Ghostbusters movie, right? In the first movie, libertarian, private enterprise, they eventually conquer the tyrannous government. You know what happens at the end of the new Ghostbusters? No. They end up on the government payroll. The Ghostbusters, the female Ghostbusters, end up being paid by the state.
Look at the woman under Hitler. He said, first you get the women, and you get the children, so follow the men. The women under a fascist totalitarian state, they marry the state.
Exactly. And this is precisely, I mean, is there a better analogy for modern feminism than the thin, mean, pathetic barbs and inefficacy and nastiness?
And notice, they even got chicks that didn't look good.
They're so ugly. They're so ugly.
And you know, trying to force feed this.
It's so ugly.
I haven't followed it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it took $44 million in its opening weekend, and this is a $150 million film. They probably spent another $150 on marketing. This is a huge failure.
So the good news is it's blowing up in their face and everything.
And Sony, because they are so desperate to be politically correct, this is the real good news, have committed to a sequel already, but just because of those nasty misogynists on the internet. So they're committed to a sequel. They're going to burn even more money. It's great.
So they can potentially bankrupt the cult by
just keep calling it like it is. This is a bad movie conceived out of spite. But my jaw dropped at the end of that movie because the mayor's number 2 shows up to see the Ghostbusters, says, thanks for all you've done. We're going to take you in now. Anything you need, come to us. They end up civil servants. They end up a government department. Is there a better analogy for feminism than that? I don't think so.
Well, the government's taking over femininity. And it's going to be managed by a bunch of women that aren't women.
Yes.
By the way, I'm not bashing women that like women. I totally get it. And there's a lot of great women out there that happen to be lesbians that I know are great patriots. I'm just saying, it's particular leftist, communist, weirdo women that want to control.
You know, there's science on this. You know, there's science on this. And every once in a while, they'll give you a gift. And Lindy West, who's a very stupid and fat person, who wrote a column, I think, for Jezebel a few years ago, and she is both of those things. I'm sorry. She wrote a column for Jezebel when she said, and she explained what this is all about. She said, women who don't conform to traditional beauty stereotypes are more likely to end up left wing. Why? Because they find this sort of alternative culture that will accept them, and then they find this sort of weird pathological culture that says that being ugly and alternative is great, and you should get as fat as you want, darling, and your self-esteem shouldn't, rest on a man's opinion of you. Well, if you want a husband, maybe it should.
Well, all I know is it's like there's a war on just people have always done different stuff, but it just seems like it's all these people that follow different lifestyles, and then they're pissed that other people are happy. And so all I say is, as long as
they want us to be as miserable as they are. That's what social justice is about. It's a sort of extended form of self-hurt, It's a sort of self-harm extended out into the 30s, All they want to do is hurt themselves and hurt people.
That's like the big thing in feminism is, too, like harming themselves.
Well, they're hurting other women. In the 90s when we grew up, I had Marilyn Manson, I had Nirvana, I had, all these, there was the emo culture. I mean, I didn't cut myself, obviously, but plenty of my friends did. And, we got it out of our systems. Social justice kids, they're growing up on, like, Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. They don't get it out of their systems. So they get into their 30s and they're still angry, and it's got to go somewhere, and it turns, in my view, into social justice. Social justice is a kind of protracted, like, self-loathing, I think.
We're going to go to break in a moment, and I would imagine listeners might want to obviously talk to you. The toll-free number, if you want to talk to Milo,
sure.
With a specific quick question is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. In fact, the press was unable to talk to him. You can call in, if you remember the press.
I got to tell you very quickly. We turned the Daily Show away from our Gays for Trump party. So they showed up and they wanted to do their typical slice and dice to make people look stupid. So we trained a camera on them, and we're going to we'll have your footage and our footage, and viewers can decide whether you gave a fair representation. So they ran away. So Daily Show, if you're watching and you'd like to actually ask a real question, get a real answer, feel free to call in.
Exactly, because when you take the field against these totalitarians, they crumble.
Of course. They're like playground bullies. They're playground bullies.
800-259-9231. Milo, obviously people go to Breitbart.com. They can read your stories there. They can read your evil review of the Ghostbusters. Where else can they follow you?
You can follow me on YouTube. I'm not difficult to track down there. I'm going to open a Snapchat account. This is my revenge on Twitter is I'm going to Snapchat, it's probably better for me anyway because a lot of my fans are so young.
But it shows how they are disconnected. they've only taken you from being a star to a superstar by banning you and saying lifetime ban.
They don't understand the Streisand effect at all. They just don't get it. They don't understand that by letting me get on with it, they are causing less harm to their own cause than making me a sort of martyr.
Well, Twitter is only going to endanger itself, because I've seen Dig and other places years ago that did censorship go from big to small.
And they all crumble. Once you stop, you know, it's a private company. You can't demand that they adhere to the First Amendment, but you can remind them, and I will be reminding them over the next 6 months, that adhering to First Amendment principles is simply good business, because any social networks that don't do that end up crumbling.
Just like our comment page, people go crazy on that.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Breitbart's the same. You know, it's like Free Speech Central over there, and sometimes it's ugly, and sometimes it's brilliant, and that's the glory of the internet.
Newspapers are crumbling. And they're even getting rid of comment sites. Yeah. They don't get, people only come there to comment, dumbass.
They don't want to read the lies you're telling them. They want to have a debate with somebody.
Yeah, they don't seem to get that.
No, they don't. But that's great. It's more business for us.
People 10 years ago would say, why do people come in here and attack you? I'm like, it's all made up crap anyway.
I don't know, who gives a shit?
It's like, they always, me and McAdoo are married and all this crud. I only wish. No, seriously, this is so ridiculous. All right, Milo's here. Well, it's good to have you on air. We try to get you on air, so I'm glad to have it here in a big way, folks. Get this link out, Infowars.com/show, or stations you're listening to. This is a political thought criminal. Don't worry, if we don't defend him, you're next. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live with the thought criminal, Milo Yiannopoulos. And, of course, he's also on Facebook for now. Facebook's smarter. They've just been banning smaller folks, blocking memes we put out that go viral. Some memes going super viral with 10 million, shares, they'll block it. But they understand they still want us on Facebook, not Twitter. Twitter does seem to be one of the most servile to the establishment. Has that been your findings?
Oh, for sure. I mean, look, there are worries about Facebook. Facebook, for instance, is in league with the German government to criticize, perfectly respectable concerns people have about immigration there. But Twitter's the one that's really, hand in hand with, nannying, mollycoddling, government officials, and also, of course, the worst set of social justice warriors, that whole Silicon Valley, California nonsense,
Where do you see this? Because you're a smart guy. I mean, I really actually want to hear, it's not just a question, where do you think it's going? How does this evolve? This huge clampdown on speech, this trying to brainwash the kids in school. I mean, it's so over the top. I read this stuff and I can't believe they're actually doing it. It's like comical. In fact, I laugh a lot of times. Like 5 years ago, Seattle is banning brown paper bags because they could be seen as racist. And they went on and said, there's never been anyone claim a brown paper bag's connected to something racist. We're just banning it. So we see all this going on. I mean, I know it's social control, but then you actually talk to these so-called liberals. They're like mental patients. What's going on?
Well, I should largely share your analysis of why it's happened, but I might have a slightly more optimistic prognosis than you do. I sort of think that it's obvious from the success of Donald Trump, who we both like. It's obvious from Brexit. It's obvious from how popular people like us are, that there is a gigantic sort of popular rebellion, a revolt among people who don't necessarily hugely concern themselves with
people that are
politics.
Out there.
Well, then it's you people.
Right.
There's a huge popular revolt among people who are tired of being told they're sexist when they know they're not, tired of being told they're racist when they know they're not, tired of being labeled as bigots when they have perfectly respectable, reasonable opinions that millions of people share. And I think we've reached a sort of breaking point where the left has overreached itself. It's taken too much for granted. It started, in its sort of puritanism, has started trying to control too many little minutiae of everyday life, and people are at breaking point. And I think the Trump phenomenon is an example of that. So I'm relatively optimistic about the future.
What has your political evolution? I mean, tell us about yourself. A lot of folks obviously know who you are and read your writings and things and see your videos. But I mean, what was your evolution? Were you like brought up libertarian, conservative, liberal? I mean, what was it like? I mean, for me, it's just watching the so-called left grandstand and project onto clouds in the sky how they've been wrong. It really seems like a drama queen pity party.
It's gay. That's what it is. It's gay. I want to restore this word, by the way. I want to give everybody I do an interview with, I want to give them a lifetime retroactive fag pass, so they can use words like gay in the way they're supposed to be used. I mean, rubbish, lame, Hillary supporting, immigrant loving. All of this. That's the proper use of gay. That's how I want to. This stuff is, what it was, I kind of grew up and I remember an element of choice in my sexuality, but I would never have gone with the gay thing if I'd known how awful other gay people were going to be. And I grew up watching this sort of victimhood and grievance, and they sort of, we're so oppressed, and I didn't relate to that at all. I thought, what is wrong with you people? My experience of it was I was endlessly mollycoddled and pandered to and celebrated. The media loves that. There are so many talentless people who are in very influential
it's horrible
positions.
at the bars and the brand new BMWs and the job jobs.
Yeah, isn't it just awful? I mean, you've got nothing going for you whatsoever except your sexuality, and you're on television, and, you know, readers will have their own